Happy Wednesday, everyone. February 26th, we wind down the month of Black History Month. I am L. Steven Swartz. You can call me Les, the host of Swartz Talkin Sports. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Before we start tonight's show, if you see that subscribe button, please hit it. Very important. We are trying to get to 1,100, and with your help, we'll make it very, very soon. Also, comment tonight's live show. We have questions for our guests, comments, and also, if this is the first time you're viewing the show and it's not live, please comment. Let us know what you think of the show, and if you want to ask our guests some questions, we'll pass it on and we'll get those answers for you. So, without further ado, let's get this train rolling. Before we bring on tonight's special guest, I want to bring on my two co-hosts. My man from Jacksonville, former national championship quarterback with the Florida A&M Rattlers in 1978. You see him as number 2 in your program, number 1 in your heart. My man, Al, the Rattler Chester.
My man, Les, how you doing, buddy? Greetings. Happy Hump Day from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, happy Hump Day right back at you, Al. And let's bring on my second co-host. New York claims him as his own, but now he is part of the Leland, North Carolina community. Our man, Benny the Bookster Millie. Ben, welcome in, my friend.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Benny, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Al.
My
good,
man.
Al.
All right. Well, guys, we got to have a great show tonight because we have a legend coming on here, and I don't want to embarrass her, but she's fantastic. So we are going to bring on a 2-time SEC, 2-time All-American, Olympic gold medalist, and 2-time national champion, and now the current head basketball coach for the Florida A&M Lady Rattlers. Let's bring on Coach Bridgette Gordon. Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Hey, Coach Gordon. How you doing?
I'm so excited. Have a game tomorrow, but I'm glad to be on the show tonight.
And we appreciate it. How'd you like that build-up, Coach?
Oh, it was excellent. You brought back chills and memories, seeing me do a little shake. follow, a jumper. Those were the days.
You certainly could do it, that's for sure. Well, let's get this show rolling. Al, why don't you get this thing kicked off with Coach Gordon?
Coach, tell us how it all started for you. Walk us back. Give us a quick snapshot in time back in D-land for you. When did you know you were a basketball player? Did you play any other sport? And walk us through that whole recruiting process. How did you decide to go to Tennessee? Give us a quick snapshot about you and your background.
I'm gonna give you a quick snapshot, but believe it or not, softball was my sport. I played everything from football, volleyball, softball. I ran track, and softball was my favorite sport. Instead of going to, as they have it now in the AAU world, we had a Blue Star All-American camp in the summer that would be held in Philadelphia. And instead of going to those camps, I would be on somebody diamond, batting cleanup woman, holding down third base. But little did I know there was no scholarships in softball. So I had to turn everything toward basketball. And me already being 5'9" in the 5th grade, already had a little growth spurt playing with the guys. Basketball was my next sport, my next go-to sport. Like I said, I was all around athlete. There's a big gap, 5 years difference between my brother and I. So he had to take me with him to the basketball court. And that's where I fell in love with basketball, going to the court with my brother. He, had me on the other goals at that time, 8 feet goal. They were playing on the 10 feet goal with chain nets. Some of the young people that's watching this have no idea concrete and the chain net on the outside court. You learn how to brace yourself, because if you took charges and you hit the concrete, it wasn't no getting up. So you learn how to brace yourself. But just going back and looking at it, following my brother around the basketball court and falling in love with basketball over softball, because coming from a single parent home, my mother was not going to be able to afford to send me to college. So I had to turn all my dreams and all my attention to basketball. That was going to give me a free ride. And believe it or not, I'm, a small town girl in Florida, in delightful DeLand, and everybody wanted me to stay in Florida and make Florida look good. So I verbally committed to the University of Florida, and that was back in 1984, until the Summit, who was spending time out in Los Angeles, winning a gold in '84 for the Olympic team, and she was the head coach with the likes of Teresa Edwards and Cheryl Miller and Kim Mulkey, that's now the coach at Baylor. You talk about some greats. And but she came knocking at the door, and I was like, she got me rattled. She had me rattled there for a while, and I was a little shy 17-year-old, and she was saying all the right things to my mom, and my mom was like, this is exactly what you need in your life. Somebody was gonna have, show you tough love, that was going to love you from a distance, and was going to be a mother away from home. I was 15 hours by car, and just needed that mom that was going to be away from home. And what can you say to a lady that had the blue eye stare, coming off the gold medal, in Los Angeles, and finally getting to campus and understanding that every 4 years there was representation of a lady vol on the Olympic team. She had All-Americans. And she promised me if I came, she wasn't going to keep on knocking at the door. We was going to knock that sucker down. So she had a great story. She was very convincing. And I tell you what, ain't nothing like Rocky Top. Back in the day, Neyland Stadium was 103,000. And seeing Tony Robinson throw touchdown, when I went there against Auburn and them taking down the goalpost and carrying it down the strip, I was sold. It wasn't nothing else that anybody could have did. But so I had to decommit from the University of Florida, and I decided to come a Lady Vol. But at that point, my biggest dreams and my aspirations was the Olympics, because we didn't know anything about professional basketball for women. So my biggest dream was to be an Olympian. And when she coming off a gold medal win in summer, and all the Olympians that had been representing, from the Lady Vol before me, it was a no-brainer.
Well, you know what, Bridgette, you were you lit it up at Tennessee. You were the SEC Freshman of the Year. So you're talking about lighting it up so they can write it up. You guys tore it up while you were there, man. What was it like for Pat Summitt to come into the house? I mean, come to DeLand, Say, let me make sure I'm saying it right. Did she say D-Land or DeLand?
I call it D-land, but it's dead land, really. The land. But we do have a lot of athletes that and greats that then came from the land. But yeah, I call it D-land. The land is the right thing. But it's just I just knew that she was the perfect fit, and she was everything that I needed. In high school, I was a post player at 5'11", a center all my life, knowing that going there to the University of Tennessee, I was gonna have to be converted to a forward, and she was the right person to do it. And she just, I mean, all the accolades, she played herself, the toughness, and I knew I needed the discipline. And Summit was the lady. She was the right lady for the job. And if I had to make that decision all over again, I'm still choosing tough because she was tough. When I say tough, she was tough. And I mean, I'm tough myself and stubborn. And we crashed and went at it a lot of times, and that was just out of love because I ain't never let nobody show me up. And just with her polishing, as they said, I was that little diamond in the rough. She polished me up and let that diamond shine. She just let me be me for 4 years. She let me work. She trained me. She showed me what life was about. And that's the other thing a lot of people don't give Pat Summitt, the late great Pat Summitt, credit for, is that it was just the life skills that she taught me, those memorable lessons.
Well,
Yes, it was about wins and losses, but the same tough player that I am on the court, that I was on the court, I was in life. I am in life. So everything that she pushed me and saw, to this younger generation, they don't know nothing about a 19-inch TV, a 32-inch. They know about 85, 75, and higher. Well, I was looking at the screen on a 19-inch, and she saw me on a 32. So she just asked me to allow her to push me, and I did because I'm so competitive, guys. I hate losing more than I love winning. And I want to win at
Whoa.
everything: life, cooking, cleaning, dressing, you name it. I want to be number one. So that's what I'm a perfectionist. If you look up the word perfection, you should see a picture of myself in the dictionary because that's what I just strive to be, the best at everything that was possible that I could be. And Pat Summitt was the general behind that.
Well, Coach,
well,
guys, we've got some, and the questions are coming and the comments are coming. So, to that point where you not wanting to lose more than you like to win, Barry, one of our frequent viewers here, wanted to know, you rose above the rest. Where did you get your drive? Like you don't like to lose, you hate to lose. Where did that come from?
My father's a native Jamaican. So that's already instilled in me, that drive from his determination, how he left his country to come to America to make a better place for his family that he left behind, and then to build something here in America with my mom and for us. So that was a drive that was already in my DNA. And then my mama's just feisty. She's just a feisty. She played 3-on-3. When she used to tell me no story, I'm like, Mom, wasn't no 3-on-3 basketball. And then once I got up, I learned that there was 3-on-3 basketball. So with that DNA, the ingredients, and I don't know, it was just in me. I cannot, and everybody know it. Everybody know. You want to be on Auntie team because Auntie ain't losing. I tell my mom, hey, Mom, if you're on the opposite team, I'm sorry, you going down. I'm sorry, mother. So it was just a drive that was in me from, I want to say from birth, because I was just driven. But the other, you can look at my mom and dad separated when I was 5 years old, and it was 8 of us, 6 girls, 2 boys. And I just saw the struggle. My mom working 2 and 3 jobs, even though my father would be co-parent of the day. He was very instrumental in my career and me as an athlete. And I just didn't want to have to be dependent on anyone. I wanted to go out and have my own. So I wanted to be an independent woman and make my own. And then, don't have to struggle in the rural. So that was also my drive. That was my why. Also, my grandmother, a native, a Cherokee Indian, and her dad was a white man. So she told me all the different stories. So I just was driven from a young girl, listen to all the depression stories and everything that she had to go through, slavery. It just drove me to be the best. And every day, because you never know when your time was going to be up. So it drove me to be my best every day. And I treated today like it was my last day.
All right. Now, outstanding question, Barry. And that's an amazing answer. That does explain a lot of where you got to be and how you got to do it. John Irwin, we call him Johnny Greyhound, a friend of the show's. Couple of questions. One of them was, and I'm going to say this in college, not the WNBA, but who was the best player or one of the best players you played with, and who was one of the toughest you had to play against? That's part one. And then part two is, who was on your Olympic team? Who was on that Seoul team? And what was the Olympic experience like? Like actually pulling on that Team USA sweater. What's it like as in comparison to just putting on like your normal team sweater? I know you're evolved through and through, Rocky Top and all that, but pulling on the Team USA sweater. So kind of a two-part question by John, Coach.
Well, when you go back as a freshman, I was fortunate to go against the great Cheryl Miller.
Ooh.
I'll never forget, in Lexington, Kentucky. It was our first Final Four, and that was my freshman year. So we're going up against Cheryl Miller in the Final Four. So that was one of the toughest players that I had to go up against in my career. There was also battles with Clarissa Davis at the University of Texas. We're in that same class. We battled for 4 years, but Cheryl Miller was that player that I went up against. And I like to say my best friend, one of my best friends, Teresa Witherspoon, we became friends because of that battle between Tennessee, the Lady Vols, and the Lady Texas that developed in that early 80s to the late 90s when I was playing. And then when you talk about the Olympic team, we had the late Ann Donovan, who played at Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
We had Witherspoon, that was from Louisiana Tech, myself, Cynthia Cooper from USC. We had Susan McConnell, now Serial that played at Penn State. There was a head coach at Pittsburgh. We had Andrea Lloyd from the University of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy Brown played at Long Beach. That was the team that we beat in the semifinals to go beat Texas in 1987 for our first national championship. We had Teresa Edwards from Cairo, the great Teresa Edwards that played at the University of Georgia. We had Katrina McLean that also played with her at the University of Georgia from South Carolina. We had Jennifer Gillum that played at Ole Miss, that's from Mississippi. And I'm trying to think that I leave. We had another one because myself and Vicky Bullitt were the only collegiate athletes that was on the team. And Vicky Bullitt was from Maryland. So we were a 12-women team. And myself and Vicky was the only two collegiate because they didn't consider the young ladies that was overseas playing basketball as a pro. We were still considered amateurs. So that was my 12-team lineup right there that we went over there and brought that gold medal back home in '88.
Great questions, John. Hey, listen, we just got one from Deuce. Yeah, that's right, Al. Deuce just threw out a question. It is, please remember. Oh, no, that's not it. They're going so fast, I can't read them. I'm not Joni. By the way, everybody, Joni is doing a Mardi Gras party for the Brunswick Literacy Council. She unfortunately couldn't be here. I'm going to do my best to fill in her beautiful shoes. Deuce says, what is your most memorable moment with Coach Summit? I know we're bouncing all over the place here, but...
It's okay. It was memorable because she wanted to send me home from Hawaii on a raft, not just a raft, but the raft had a slow leak in it.
Whoa, we got to hear this story.
Oh my God. My freshman year at the University of Tennessee, we had been to Chicago, New York City, watched Broadway play. From there, we get on a plane. And of course, this is over the winter break. We get on a plane and we head to Hawaii. So we in there, we done had some fun, been snorkeling and had team receptions for the team, and we in there, and I hear this door. It's like the police, bam, 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 bam. It's midnight, and I'm always sleeping with the television on, and it was myself and Melissa McCray, and I'm thinking like, I ain't answering that door. Who is that? So we sit there a little quiet, like we gonna be still with the TV loud and on in the room, and it's bam, bam, bam. This is Pat. Open up the door. I know y'all are in there. You're not asleep. And I go to the door, and she said, young lady, I knew something was wrong with you in Chicago, and you've been acting funny. I said, acting funny? She said, did I tell you to talk? I said, no, ma'am, you did not. So I just listened to her, And later on, she go, "You have a 0.0 GPA." I said, "A zero? How can?" She said, "Did I tell you to talk?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. She said, "You have a 0.0 GPA average, and I knew something was wrong with you. I'm going to send you back to the land from Hawaii on a raft with a slow leak." I said, "I thought you cared about me." She said, "Did I tell you to talk?" I said, "Oh, ma'am." I'm crying at this time because I don't know how I have a 0.0 GPA average. Well, lo and behold, we had a new academic counselor that was a GA the year before. She didn't know that I had a library. When you don't pay your library fine, you have a 0.0 GPA until you pay your real GPA average. And to this day, Summit never apologized. She just knew something. She said, "I'm gonna send you back to the land." And I'm like, well, under my breath, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to come back because you pushing me like you ain't never pushed nobody before. And she looked at me with them blue eyes and walked out that door. And I'm thinking, like, Lord, what did I just sign up for?
Mm.
Coach, I had a 0.0 grade point average, and it was all me. Benny, I know you had a question for the coach before we came on. You have a good one, and really kind of gets us into moving forward into coach's career. But why don't you throw that out there?
Yeah, Coach Gordon. With that prestigious career you had, what and when did you feel that you wanted to become a coach, and why? Exactly why did you want to become a coach?
Just watching Pat and how great she was with people. Especially little kids. I watched that woman coach a game, always thinking of others before herself, would not leave the stadium unless we pulling her out, signing autographs, working her basketball camps in the summer, my connection with young people. So I found out my purpose at an early age was to empower young people. So it's easy for me to make that transition and just the impact that she just not had on us at the University of Tennessee, but everywhere we went, people love for Pat to be in their presence.
Sure. Yeah,
And she just touched me in a mighty way. And I knew I wanted to follow in her footsteps. And I just wanted to be a part of her legacy, that coaching legacy, that tree, that branch. And to impact young people the way that she impacted me. It's like I owe that to the game. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now at Florida A&M, because I'm giving back to something that gave me so much. I don't know if I would have ever been able to leave the land if it wasn't for that orange ball. And it just didn't take me away from the land. I didn't travel the country more than once. I didn't been to Russia, Spain, France, Germany, you name it, Hungary, Budapest, the Republic of Czechoslovakia was Czechoslovakia. Now it's the Republic of Czech. The Republic of Slovakia was Yugoslavia. Now it's Croatia. I mean, I hadn't seen the world. I hadn't been around the world from that orange ball. So this is the least that I can do is give back to something that gave me so much, because Pat was so giving. Her heart was so big. For that woman to be so tough, as soon as practice will be over, she can cut it off and tell me to come to the office and ask me how my mom doing. And I'm at 18, like, how my mama doing for 3 hours? You just rolled me and you want to talk about my mama? But I wanted to make her proud and follow in her.
One of the greats, man. Absolutely. You had a good teacher, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Coach, if I had a daughter, I would right now say you're signing a letter of intent to play at Florida A&M for Coach Gordon. That's it. You've got me. Like, I just could sit here talking to you forever. This is fantastic. You would be the coach of my daughter. I'd let her go for 4 years and say, hey, she's your mom for the next 4 years. Good luck. There you go. Let her go.
Yep. And she would be different when she come back. She would be loved. It'll be tough, and she'll be prepared for the real world, because we will teach her all the life skills that she's going to have to need. And when I say I'm full of energy, I bring it. Whether we have a 6 a.m. practice or a 6 p.m., coach got energy, and I can get right out there and work out with them. So she will be truly well-rounded and prepared for the real world after those 4 years.
So let's get into your journey to now the head coach at Florida A&M, your first head coaching position. This is your second year. I know you were assistant at a lot of different schools. What brought you to Florida A&M? what was what grabbed you to get you to Florida A&M and being a head coach for the first time, and maybe some of the stops you were at before, coaching under some other coaches that you maybe took part of their games to Florida A&M. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, every stop that I was at, I was under great head coaches, from D. Romine, where I started at, Stetson in my hometown. The minute that I hung up my shoes, I thought I was going to take a year off, and the phone rung, and I took that job, and I was there for 6 years, and I continue to elevate myself, being from an assistant coach to the recruiting coordinator. Just, I was always that aggressive person. At Stetson, I had to do a little bit of everything. I was an academic advisor. I was a strength and conditioning coach. I was a postseason coach. I broke down film. You just learned how to do it all at a smaller Division I, not knowing that would help me and prepare me for where I'm at today. From there, I took a year off and took care of my mom. She had a triple bypass surgery, so I took a year off, and then that year off, I was recruiting. I recruited for the WNBA. At that time, the WNBA was just that one person. It was the entity of the WNBA. It wasn't each collective team. It was just ran by the WNBA itself. So I became a regional scout. From there, I went to Georgia State, learned from Lee Henry, who also was on that '84 Olympic team and played for Pat Summit. So from there, from 3 years, I traveled to Wichita State in Kansas.
Ooh, the Shockers.
The Shockers.
The Shockers. And I tell you what, that's a great place. The Roundhouse. It's a college town. There's no professional team there. And those were some great 7 years that I spent at Wichita State. We was fortunate enough to win 3 conference and tournaments, to go to the NCAAs. And once again, I coached up other Lady Vol, Jody Adams, that played for Pat Summit. From there, I had the pleasure of going back to Tennessee and working with Holly Warlick, who was my personal coach when I was at the University of Tennessee. I know we talk about Pat a lot, but Holly also had played a major role in shaping me and forming me into the woman that I am today. So I was very grateful to go back and spend 2 years at the University of Tennessee. From there, I went to SMU up under Travis Mays, another Floridian. He could score some points too at the University of Texas out of Ocala, Florida. From there, I took a bike scene at Kansas. I became to 4 of my nieces and nephew. From there, I went 1 year to Cincinnati. From Cincinnati, I went back to work for Jody Adams out at New Mexico. And then I got a phone call from Miss Tiffany Dawn Sykes. I had been to, I guess I had maybe been out there for a month. And I got a call, and I'm thinking, how did you get my number? First of all, I didn't have an agent. I've always represented myself. My work spoke for itself. And she called, and I said, okay, and long story short, before that, in Cincinnati, that year I spent in Cincinnati, I watched the whole SWIKE tournament. I watched Southern upset Jackson State. I have no idea why I watched that tournament. That December of 22, I prayed and said, Lord, I'm ready to be a head coach. I'll never forget. I was coming back home from Cincinnati, December the 27th, 2022. I wrote the note. I still have it to today. And that call came in July of 2023, I became the head coach. And Tiffany, it was myself and another young lady after interviewing us. And I didn't even have to come on campus to get an interview. I was named the head coach over the phone. I was in the mall shopping, and I dropped the phone when Tiffany called me, and I just started screaming. I didn't know what to do and what to think, but say, oh, Lord, it's here. I can't do nothing but thank you for that opportunity. So here I am, August the 14th.
And that's where I got to say, we are so happy she's our head women's basketball coach. She's got them going in the right direction. The culture has changed. I can't say that enough, but I mean, she's being modest, I think, but I mean, she's lighting it up, man, and she's got this program moving in the right direction and developing young ladies, and they're all going to be winners in life, and that's what it's all about.
Well, Gary just says, amazing guest. She needs to write a book. I mean,
Yeah.
Coach, have you thought about this?
I have, and then that's the part of me that most people don't know. I'm so shy, and that happened to me by being so much bigger, taller, stronger than the guys when I was young. So I stayed in my like little shell, and I'm very humble, and I'm a firm believer in what's for me is for me. But I definitely need to write a book. And because I mean, I ain't even telling you half of the story. You know, at 22, when I graduated from the University of Tennessee, I go to Italy, to a foreign country I knew nothing about. And I ended up speaking Italian fluently, staying there 10 years, highest paid female athlete over there.
Benny,
And
Benny, she
living,
speaks Italian, Benny.
Yeah.
living in Como. You know that Como. Oh, my gelato and my pasta. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh, Mama Mia.
you're
Oh,
speaking the book's
gorgeous
language.
man. Oh, Mama Mia. Ooh, yes, I was in Como, Italy. I think Greg Cooney has a house on the mountain. I could see the snow on the Swiss Alps. I would drive 45 minutes and go to Lugano, read a book, and just sit on the lake. And I thought I knew I was in heaven. I said, oh my God. And you're talking about people. I was treated like the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. And once the young people knew I speak Italian, they fell in love with me. My money wasn't any good. I couldn't pull out my money to go anywhere. I had pasta dish, ice cream, the gelato named after me. I mean, it was the greatest experience and the best time of my life. And I'm talking about I had no prejudice. People just accepted me for who I was and who I represented, and they just loved me. Oh my God. It was, and the arenas filled with people. Bree, I had my own boys fan club, the boys of Bridgette. They followed me
The
everywhere.
boys.
You talking
I
about
love it.
gifts for my birthday. I mean, oh, those.
Bridget, do your players realize? Do your players realize where you've been? I mean, do they realize who they have as a head coach?
They
And
really
and
do. They don't, because like y'all saying, I'm keeping it. I'm just humble, and that's who I was. That's not who I am today. I'm not woman of God, woman of faith, and I just keep it that way, because if I start comparing and telling them what I'm doing, I'm scared I might just scare them away, because this is a new generation.
Yeah.
They
I was
can't
just
take a lot. They just can't take a lot, and they already up under a lot of pressure.
I was just about to ask you that. The young ladies or the young athletes today, they're so different than when you were a young lady. Do you have trouble transitioning, actually relating to them? Is that a challenge? Or is it, you got your way, it's my way or the highway? Or do you find yourself to be a little flexible when normally you wouldn't? I mean, how do you handle this type athlete, the 2025 athlete?
Oh, I can handle them. I call myself an old school coach with a new flavor twist. And my nieces and nephew keeps me in the game with that. I know that they're built different. And in my era, we were just special. Just this, the mentality and my why that I talk to you guys earlier for about my why I was driven. It's just a different generation, and I understand that. And what is happening has been doing, and they have been taught, is the basic fundamentals of the game, and that's where, because I'm teaching them the basic fundamental, how to pivot off of two. We make pass off of two, meat passes, always triple threat. Triple threat. Now they talking about shot ready. They just didn't change the verbiage, but it's still the same thing. When you catch the ball, your feet and hands need to be up on the ready to go shoot that ball, pass it, dribble, whatever. I mean, it's still the same game. It's just the nuance of it. We didn't have a sidestep. Now you have a sidestep. We didn't call it mush coming off the screen. I'm just going to make a play. Now I'm coming off the screen. I'm mushing. I'm not going down fast, getting downhill fast. I'm letting the play develop. So there's the nuance of the game, and there's different strategies, and it's been different because I played it at a high level. Pat didn't really have to tell me a lot. Just give me the goddamn ball, Pat, and get out the way. I'm going to call the plays for you from the sideline because I got that feel for the game, and that's my knowledge. And every play ain't going to be for Bridgette because I know I can be a decoy, so I'm going to make the right decisions. But with my young ladies, it's just me. We do so much game planning, and I tell them, you don't even have to think. Just listen and apply. I stay on my computer. I break down the film for them. I give them everything that they need in order to be successful. That's how much I study and give them. And what I'm doing is not realistic, right, in the real world, but I'm giving it to them and I'm letting them know that when you leave me in the real world, people ain't just gonna break it down the way that I break it down. They just gonna throw you out there and you're gonna have to defend for yourself, but you are gonna be ready. That's when the tough part of me come in, because I didn't taught you. Now for the final exam, the same way you're making A's and B's in everybody else class, you better pass coach pressure class too, because I don't play that when it comes to that. So yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why, like you said, like in the beginning of the show, we was talking behind the scenes. A lot of the greats on the men and the women's side, even for us, the Tower Vanderbilts or the Stanford has moved also because of the how it didn't change that whole thing around football, the realignment of these conferences.
Yeah.
I don't blame Tara. I'm not traveling from way out in California, way up in New Jersey to play Rutgers in the Big Ten. So I understand why a lot of the old coaches are leaving with the new alignment of the game, of the NIL and everything. So some of them old coaches just like, hey, I'm done. I've seen the best of the best. So it's time for me to leave. Way, I'm 57, soon to be 58, and you can't tell because I'm there. I'm still there. When I don't love and I don't have this passion for the game, I can walk away. But until then, I got so much to teach and so much to give to the game because it gave me so much.
You look like you could still play right now. So the season's winding down. The SWAC season's winding down. What do the Lady Rattlers have to do to have a successful run through the SWAC tournament? Because, let's face it, the SWAC, like a lot of other leagues, they're not a power league, so it's a one-bid league. For the most part, it is. What do the Lady Rattlers have to do to make it to that SWAC championship game and a chance at an NCAA bid this year?
The chemistry got to be right now. The whole season, you didn't see a Cheyenne McEvans, or you seen a Sydney Hendricks, or you seen a Sabu Gu, or you seen a Demaya Griffin, or you see a Zakiya Carter. All have great games, but we haven't put it together yet. Everybody hadn't played on that same accord yet, and we haven't closed close games. We haven't finished. So we can finish starting tomorrow and Saturday, and then going in there against our rivals down the street. I don't like to call their names. When we go play them on March the 8th, and we roll into the tournament, and we believe and we understand we know how to win and close games, ain't no stopping us, because I still feel like we one of the better teams, even though I'm without two of my top players this year. 40% of the season I played without them. The whole SWAC season we didn't play without them. We still have a good chance of winning and going in there. I tell you right now, nobody don't want to play us. I can tell you that.
Well, the way you're coaching your girls and the way you're preparing, I don't think I'd want to play you either. Listen, before we let you go, we're winding down, I kind of want to get into the state of women's college basketball, right? I mean, listen, you've thrown names out there like Cheryl Miller and Ann Myers and Kale Mulkey and all that from the past. But the last, since COVID, like you said, and, I mean, let's face it, like her or not, lightning rod, whatever, Caitlin Clark kind of did raise that bar. People wanted to watch, and they got into women's college basketball. And after watching Clark, now they see Juju Watkins is doing at USC, and Dawn Staley, which she's building at South Carolina. Gino's got the thing going at UConn. I mean, women's college basketball seems to be at a really, really good state at this point. Where do you think it is now as to where it was maybe 10 years ago? And where do you think it can go? Not just in the collegiate level, but in the professional level as well.
Well, as I alluded to earlier, I can just recall, I was back at the University of Tennessee back in 85. Well, they're 85 through 89. And I just remember Pat doing everything for the game, to grow the game, even inviting the opponents to our practice. And I looked at her like, questioning her like, you're allowing the opponent to come in and watch a practice? And she goes, yeah, Bridge, they don't have a U, and they still got to stop it. But she was all about growing the game. At that time, it was Converse, because it was doing so much for women's basketball. She was willing to do whatever it took to grow the game. And so right now, I see that. I see the blood, sweat, and tears from myself, the Kim Mulkeys, the Ann Donovans, the Annie Myers, the Cheryl Millers that came long even before me. where the game is at now. And you're right. Caitlin Clark brought the excitement like Steph Curry did to the NBA. Everybody loved the three. And I'm sorry, you love the dunks, but you love to see a woman shoot deep threes. You heard shooting, coming across half court, shooting threes. You love Dame time coming across court, shooting threes. Even though LeBron them can go, it's just something about that art that wasn't brought into the women game until my junior year in 1988 was the first time the three-point line was introduced to the women game. And ever since then, I've seen the growth and the development of the women basketball players elevating their game. And we was also playing with a woman ball, and then we all went back to the man ball because we was playing with the women's ball at college at the collegiate level, and then playing with the man's ball internationally for the Olympics and all the Pan American games. So when I look back over it, I try not to get emotional. My mom's in heaven just smiling because she knew I can just see a bridge. I told you, the game was going to get where it's at today. But it was definitely the Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese, the game that put that on national TV and the sellout crowds now to the arena. I mean, the sky's the limit for women's basketball because now you got young ladies dreaming to be the next Caitlin Clark, the next Angel Reese, the next Juju, the next Paige Buckers. The list goes on. And now you also have some of these former athletes that played at a high level. Now they're actually coaching, right? You're looking at Niele Ivey that's at Notre Dame and what she's doing. You're looking at the Dawn Staley and what she did when she was a player. She wasn't able to win a national championship, but now she's been able to win one as a coach. She didn't win one as a player. So you look at Gino that's still in the game. So the women game, you're passing it on. It's in great hands. Now the W need to continue to grow. We need to support there because you got so many young ladies that are being left out. They're making good money by going overseas, but I'm sure that they would love to stay home, be homebound, and play in front of families and friends, even though the television now is rural known. Around the world, you can pull the games up on the TV. So the state of women basketball is in great shape. It's going to continue to get better and better. You hear them now talking about young ladies because of COVID is now eligible to go to the W. I don't know why they would, because they're making more money in college than they could in
with the NIL.
W, right?
Yeah, there we go.
When you talk about that, that's the same thing as football players. You got some football players that's never going to see the NFL. And why? When they're making millions already at the collegiate level, I'm not leaving either. If I can secure the bag and make sure my family and I have a generational wealth that I can create from a collegiate level and not having to go pro, it's hard. And people don't understand it. But the growth of women's basketball is in great hands. And that's why a lot of people were so in tune that myself and other greats that played the game stay in the game so we can educate them.
Hold on. So, we got to ask this question out there because we still have tons of questions out there. Here's one right here out from Andrew Emitrano. Speaking of your arch enemy, because Tennessee and UConn had that massive rivalry all through the 90s and into 2010 until Pat Summitt left and stepped down from coaching. Andrew Emitrano wants to know, what do you think of Gino and how long his success has reigned? What do you think about him and the UConn program being able to sustain, not just being good, but my goodness gracious, they've been at the top of the sport for the last 35 years.
He has, and I just want y'all to recall, see, there was not a Tennessee UConn because Gino would have went down, and he already know that. Because when I was playing at the University of Virginia as an assistant coach to Debbie, Debbie, that was there at the head coach at the University of Virginia, and he coached the greats of Dawn Staley and the two young ladies that sit on his bench, Cardoza. I gave it to them. I served them up. Anytime they saw a name in the East, they didn't want to come because they already know what the end result was going to be. So Gino know me very well. He was an assistant coach. Her name is Debbie Ryan that was at the University of Virginia. And, kudos to Gino, what he has been able to sustain. We had the baton. We had 8. Gino then, surpassed us. But if you look, it goes back now. Gino then had a while that he's not been back to that Final Four neither. So now you're talking about the Dawn Staley's of the world, because that's where that parity came in the women's game, that she was able to leave Temple, right, and go to a program that had never won anything, been nowhere, or did anything, and she take them to another platform. You also got to give her kudos because she had brought in the recruits. You can be the best coach you want to be. I can X and O my butt, but if I ain't got the players to get out there and make plays, it doesn't matter. So Dawn was able to bring in some exciting new recruits to the game, and with her knowledge, she was able to start winning some national championship. And once again, it came to that transfer rule that we're talking about, the portal. Dawn got some young ladies in that had transferred out from different other institutes, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and she brought those young ladies in, and they was able to win her first one. And that's all it does is take one and open the door. The floodgates started flowing in. Now you had other young ladies that wanted to come in and help her win another national championship. So, like I said, kudos to what Gino has been able to do. And then you look at the new ones like Notre Dame. Now you're talking about, oh my God, the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma and everything, how the lineup has been. To me, it's all been predicated around football. Football play 12 games in a season. They don't have to endure the season that basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball have to endure, in a long season game. So, but when you go back to it, yes, he's done a phenomenal job, and Gino can tell you, this new generation, they different. Gino ain't the same Gino of old.
Right.
No.
Gino didn't make the change. They don't that what Gino was talking 10 years ago. Go to Diana, and kudos to Diana.
I want to bring. I want to be. I did want to. Let's before we let you go, and we've already at 40 minutes, and I don't want to keep you for a long time. I know you got to prepare for tomorrow night, but I would be remiss to not mention Diana Taurasi, the great Diana Taurasi. 6 gold medals, multiple national championships, WNBA championships. Your thoughts on her impact on the women's game?
Well, Dinah was the one, my class, myself, Sheila Frost, and Melissa McCray, God bless her, rest in soul, her peace rest in heaven. We were that first class, male or female, to Diana and Sue and all them. That's when you say Gino built the powerhouse. And Diana was just that tough kid from out in California. She's Italian too. So she was just tough and brought a nuance of the game. And, like Cheryl Miller was that 6'2" guard that can shoot it. Now you're talking about Diana as a 6'1" guard that could handle, shoot the three, had a little, cocky confidence about herself, arrogance, which all the greats have. She brought that to the game and brought the game to a new level. Like I said, you got to, you give her, bow to her, the GOAT for what she's been able to accomplish on the collegiate level, on the professional level, and on the international, on the Olympic level. She's done it all. So Diana is a bad mamma jamma. We just say that. And I remember, if you go back to 2006, myself and Diana and Cheryl Miller, Swoops, Holtzclaw, and Pat Summit was the coach. And we was on that 25th silver anniversary team, and I just recall her pleading, please let Gino be the assistant coach, Pat. Can you put him on the team? So that just told me a lot about her respect and what she thought of Gino. And just, with me, once again, to go back and say, me being a part of that 25th silver anniversary team and Diana name being a part, and I'm associated and affiliated with that says a lot for the game and for me. But yes, I applaud Diana for her career that she's had.
Well, Coach, this has been awesome. I'm just telling you right now, we're getting like comments like, we have to have you back. I just bring her back. Coach, what I'd love to do, first of all, I want to wish you best of luck tomorrow and as you go into the SWAC. I know Al will be calling some games there and rooting on the A&M Rattlers. By the way, you like these Rattler colors here? We got orange and green here for our special guest tonight. What I'd love to do is, if you guys do not make the NCAA tournament, we're hoping you do. But if by some chance you don't, we'd love to have you come back and maybe handicap the tournament, the NCAA tournament. Talk about, the seedings, who's doing what. If you've got the time, I know you're a busy person, but we would love to have you back. I don't want to put you on the spot. I didn't want to do that, but you've been such an awesome guest. We'd love to have you back.
Hey, my word is bond. That's what my father taught me, my native Jamaican. So I'm here. We can always talk basketball, and it's going to help me with my recruitment. So I'm going to be recruiting while we on this podcast.
Let's do it.
Basketball. We talking March Madness, so I can give my little recruits some insight on what coach is all about. So I would love to be back. I'm going to bring this energy, and I'll just like to say, tomorrow is our Play for K. It's breast cancer awareness where we when it happens in October, we're not playing. So women's basketball, men basketball, we celebrate that in the month of February. So we raising awareness. I played for the Great Lake K Yao on my 1988 Olympic team. The one lady, that's why I brought so many memories and tears when my jersey was being retired. In January of 1990, the young ladies that was passing the road, that is Melissa McCrae Dukes, and we lost her to a battle of breast cancer on December the 27th in 2010. So this game means a lot to me for more than one reason. Men have breast cancer too, so we like to educate and raise awareness. It's rare, but men do have breast cancer also. So I just want to thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to come back on and enjoying it and hoping that we do what we're supposed to do in this SWAC tournament. But if we don't, I'll see y'all when I see you again.
Pleasure meeting you, Bridgette.
Bridgette, thanks so much for giving us some love.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow.
Really great.
Okay, see y'all. Thank
All right.
you.
Coach, best of luck
Thank
tomorrow. We'll be rooting you on.
Okay, yes.
That's Coach Bridgette Gordon, Florida A&M Lady Rattlers. Listen, for all you hockey nuts, stay tuned. We're talking Four Nations Face-Off Tournament after this.
At Revolution Basketball Training, we improve the skills of athletes with a diverse set of training programs for all ages. With innovative techniques and an experienced training staff, we push your skills to the next level, turning weaknesses into strengths. Technology like our instant feedback system accelerates learning and is one of the many reasons we are different. Join Connecticut's largest basketball movement. Don't just play the game, revolutionize it.
Welcome back to Swartz Talkin Sports. I'm your host, L. Steven Swartz, but you can still call me Les. The man in the middle, my man from Jacksonville, Al the Rattler Chester, the voice of the Rattlers basketball and football broadcast with Melvin Beal. And look at the guy on the right. New York likes to claim him as their own, but now he's in North Carolina. We got Benny, the book, Stamilli in the house. Guys, what a great interview. She is a fantastic person, a fantastic coach. Al, thanks for grabbing the coach. I cannot wait to have her back. Can we hear Al?
Man, I tell you what, she's high energy. She makes you want to play right now. I mean, I got to warm up to put my clothes on, man, but Bridgette got me all fired up, man.
You said it best, Les. If I had a daughter, she's the type of person you want coaching her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Teach her more than just a game of basketball. What you need, the tools you need to succeed in life, and she's done a tremendous job herself.
Well, guys, we are jumping. We are like completely switching sports. We're going from the hardwood to the ice because what happened a couple weeks ago, guys, really took the country by storm. I didn't think the NHL knew what was going on. I didn't think the sporting public knew what was going to happen. Right? Real quick, one of the poll questions was the success of the Four Nations Face-Off Tournament. Would it raise the ratings of the NHL? The answer, believe it or not, surprisingly, 68% of the people out there say yes. I completely disagree. I don't think it's going to raise anything with the NHL because it's a different brand of hockey, and it's the United States. Your people who are watching in Alabama or Texas or Iowa are not going to watch Al, we were texting, right, about the Canada-USA thing. Let's be honest. Right. If Calgary's playing Winnipeg tonight, and I think Winnipeg's actually playing somebody tonight at 10:30, are you staying up to watch that game? Probably not.
Probably not. I tell you what, you're going to find anybody below the Mason-Dixon line probably will not be doing that.
But if you have USA playing Canada for the gold medal next year in the Olympic Games. You got the two countries playing. Are you going to watch that game? Even though I know you're not a hockey guy, are you going to watch that game?
I'm going to watch that one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
See, that's and so my old take, and Benny, I want to get your impression, and everyone out there, please. I know we get some hockey fans out there. Andrew Amatrano, McAvoy, and Matthew T really hurt the USA. Exactly. We had some injuries that really affected us in that game against the gold medal game against Canada. They won 3-2, right? But let's face it, guys out there. I want to leave this. Let's ask the people out there, the viewers out there. We still have 23 people out there, guys. If you're hockey fans, chime in. Mike, if you're out there, chime in. Listen, this thing was a success because of a lot of different factors, right? I mean, it was the perfect storm. I don't want to throw politics into it, but, our president said some things that Canadians took as derogatory, saying, yeah, they're going to be the 51st state. Now, whether or not he was serious or he was joking around, I know some people that are friends in Canada, they took it seriously. So didn't the public. So what happens? They boo the national anthem. Okay? You've got the NBA All-Star Weekend going on, and we can talk about should they adopt this NHL format. I think they should. So there was really nothing going on. There was a lull. Football's not being played. Maybe college basketball is. And then you got Saturday night. You got the Americans playing Canada in the first game. I'm on vacation, guys, right? I'm with Joni at a romantic Valentine's Day weekend in a nice wine bar, and I get my buddy John, who's on this thing right now on the chat. He's like, "Are you watching this?" And I'm like, "No, what's going on?" He goes, 3 fights in 9 seconds. I'm like, "Whoa!" I turn on ESPN Plus. I'm watching this thing. All of a sudden, all the people in the area are like, "What's going on?" They're all on their phones now, and I know the NHL doesn't like to promote fighting. I know the old adage was I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out, but it's really not about that anymore. But guys, that thing just amped everything up, right? You had the Kachuk brothers who are now like, they're national celebrities now, Brady and Matthew Kachuk, the Bash brothers. And you had Millsy going at it with Prieko, the giant, right? He's throwing down with him. And then the U.S. wins the game 3-1, right? And then it gets everything going towards that gold medal game. My question to you, Ben, and to people out there, that's the perfect storm. What if Sweden had played Finland in the finals? Would you have really cared? I know you're a hockey guy, but would you have really been amped up to see Finland play Sweden in the final?
No, you're absolutely right. It was like you said, a perfect storm. The two teams that you wanted to see be there, Sweden against Finland. I think it was good for hockey this time. I don't know if like the NHL teams are going to be happy because the two Kachuk brothers are out injured. One might be gone for the season,
and he's their captain.
Yeah, I mean, all NHL teams, any of the players, whether they be on Finland, I don't know if the NHL owners will be happy, letting these guys go, for that long. When the All-Star game, they ain't going to get hurt.
But does anybody? Okay, so Ben, so real quick, so Matt, a friend of the show, very, very good. By the way, we've got some great photos. I think Tony's going to be able to throw up on the Four Nations tournament. And Tony, when you get to it, you can just throw that up there, and we'll talk over that. But Matt makes a very good point about it's maybe not going to raise the NHL, in the long term, but what it's going to do in the success of that tournament and the excitement that it brought into the United States hockey is the Four Nations face-off will have a similar effect on increasing youth participation in hockey that the Olympics do. Probably won't increase viewership for the regular season NHL games. I agree. I think you got 11, 10-year-old kids sitting there going, my God, I want to play for Team USA. I want to play hockey that maybe played it recreationally, haven't gotten into it yet. Listen, guys, it used to be a northern sport, okay? It's not anymore. You got roster spots on the U.S. from Arizona, California, Florida. I mean, it's a national game now. It's not just played in Massachusetts and Minnesota. And, listen, Canada won the gold, okay? I'll give it to them. They won. Yeah, they beat us in overtime. How you leave the greatest player in the world uncovered in the slot? Oh, my God, that's unbelievable. And their goalie, Bennington, saved their bacon in overtime. Thank you very much for Tony for showing those pictures and that short video. But But guys, we were missing players, and I don't want to make excuses, but to your point, Kachuk gets hurt in the final game. McAvoy goes down, doesn't play, and he was physical in that series against Canada in the first game. Quinn Hughes, arguably, is the best defenseman in the NHL in the world. He won the Norris Trophy last year. Al, that's the guy who's the best defenseman in the league. He won it. He didn't even play. So we were short guys, right? So I'm thinking that, with a full boat, and by the way, Canadians love hockey. That's their thing, right? Trudeau, in his tweet right after they won said, you can't take our country and you can't take our hockey. That's how serious they were about winning this game. And so weren't we. So weren't the players, right? I did some research, guys. Back in 1974, when I was a kid growing up, Benny, we're watching this thing, less than 2% of NHL rosters were made up of Americans. And that only rose to like 8% in the early 80s. That's after the Miracle on Ice, okay? Right now, nearly 35% of all rosters are made up of Americans. Our World Juniors, our kids going up, have just won back-to-back World Junior Championships. I think they've won, someone can correct me, Mike out there, maybe 4 or 5 out of the last 10 we've won. So we're on par with the Canadians now, is developing hockey talent. And the last thing the Canadians want to see is their big brother take away the one thing they have over us, which is hockey. I mean, that would be like another country, Al, starting to import football, and all of a sudden in 10 years, we're not developing the best football players. Someone in Europe is, or South America. We're like, what happened? That's our sport, right? Look, it's kind of happened in basketball, Al. That was our sport. We created it.
Right.
And then in 92 with the Dream Team, it expanded out. And look at the last bunch of MVP players. They're not Americans. The Europeans, Jamaicans, or whatever.
It's a worldwide sport now.
You look at the top draft picks. Same thing.
Exactly. Wembanyama, Antetokounmpo. Jokic was a second-round draft pick, and he's a 2-time MVP, and probably he's on track. He has a chance to win it again. Any more questions? So, guys, Austin Matthews couldn't believe. I know you're right, Andrew. He couldn't believe it. And the bottom line is, I don't want to bag on a player, and I don't want to call him the GOAT, and I'm not talking greatest of all time here. I'm talking about what happened. But for all those hockey fans out there, I love Matthews. He's a big kid. He can skate. He's a finisher. 69 goals, I think, 2 years ago, or even last year. But the bottom line is, dude, you got to finish. And he doesn't finish with Toronto, and he didn't finish in overtime. And as a centerman, I'm guilty of this. I played the game, and I screwed it up all the time. You got to cover the slot guy. You can't leave the greatest player in the world uncovered from 10 feet. He's going to score 99% of the time, and that's how they lost that game. Al, my question to you is, everyone was talking about this. I mean, Stephen A. Smith led off with it. Mike Wilborn. Everyone's talking 4 nations last week. That's all they talked about. And the demise of the NBA All-Star team as to what a joke it was with the All-Star game. Do you think that the NBA, because of the international flavor of the game, should adopt a style similar to what the NHL did? Is have Team USA shut the league down for 7 or 8, 9 days and play a round-robin tournament and play for your country. What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? I think they need to be creative. I think that it's all about the fan experience and making money, and that's an option that I think they should explore. I mean, you got an international flavor in the game. Why not do it? When you see the Olympics come around, the NBA is spread out through the Olympics with the various teams all across the country, the world, that is. And so why not? It's all about the fan experience and making money. And I think they need to do anything they can to continue to stir that pot, to entice and make people feel good about watching the game and being around the game. That's what it's all about.
No, I totally agree. And just and this was a prelude. This tournament was a prelude to the Olympics next year. You have the Winter Olympics in Milan coming up in 2026 in February. The only issue there is they're going to be using NHL players for the next 3 Olympics, I think. Matt might be able to chime in on that. I think they've got NHL. But remember, guys, this is Olympic rules. So if people expect the same rough, tough, that's not going to happen. You drop the gloves in the Olympics, you're suspended 1 game, I think. 2, you're done. Heavy hits, things like that, you're penalized. So it's a different game. I think what ought to happen is
it's more wide open.
It's going to be more wide open, but I think what they need to do is adopt it's going to be NHL players, guys, is adopt NHL rules. I mean, this is not, it shouldn't be an Olympic or an international federation thing, because the players are predominantly NHL players. They got to go with the rules, and I think that's what people want to see: the passion, the intensity. Which is why I don't think that what you saw can translate every day to NHL. You can't go that hard. To your point, Benny, guys are injured now. I mean, you've got Florida, who's trying to defend for the Stanley Cup. And they're I don't know, he's Barkov's their captain, I think. He's like maybe their best player all around. He's out, right? Yeah. He might not play this year. McAvoy, done. I think that I heard an interview.
They're not going to want to lose the players. It'll be NHL. They make too much money, just for, I don't, that was great for the sport. I don't think it was like a money maker. They it was like the Olympics, except it was compressed teams. It was only 4 teams.
Right.
Well,
we couldn't have Russia because.
Yeah. Well, they're going to try to expand it anyway.
Right. Well, so year. So I was going to say, so I know we're running late here, and I want to go maybe 5 more minutes, Tony, because I want to address something that Tech for Fun came up with, which is really interesting for people who are not hockey fans. Al, you might have asked yourself this question: where did fighting culture come from in hockey? Serious question. It's the only sport that you're allowed to actually drop the gloves and fight. And it's, not encouraged anymore, but, I think what it is, listen, I didn't play it at a professional level. Okay, I did not. But I played in major, adult tournaments where supposedly there's no checking. And listen, it's such an intense game. It's up and down. It's almost self-policing the sport yourself and not letting the referees do it. When you're a great player and you're not a fighter or a hard checker, but you're such a great skill player, and one player takes a run at you and tries to knock you out of the game, you're not just going to settle for, the guy's going out for 2 minutes. You're going to try to make a statement, so you go after that player, protect him, and that's where the fighting really started. It's to stick up for your players on the ice. It's not, I'm a tough guy or whatever. Now, the interesting thing Saturday night was the Kachuks and Miller were like texting before the game, like, hey, let's light this thing up a little bit. Let's have some fun. Maybe the booing of the national anthem. But he said, I'm going out. I just heard the interview the other day on Spit and Chicklets, by the way. Great podcast. If you haven't checked it out, it's a great podcast. He basically comes out and says, I'm going at the first guy. He looks at him and says, we're going right now. They drop the gloves. Brady Tkachuk, his brother, comes off, goes to the Canadian bench, looks at Sam Bennett and goes, hey, Benny, me and you, we're going next. Sam Bennett is his brother's teammate who just had the fight. And I'm like, this is incredible. Right. And then the other guy, Parayko, goes at Millsy, and Millsy, JT Miller goes, yeah, you and me, we're going third. And they had 3 fights in 9 seconds, which does not happen. But it really just lit this thing. It was so intensity-filled. But guys, just want to let everyone...
That pot was stirred with 47. 47 stirred the pot.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He stirred that.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, he lit the fire, right? And then, he had a talk with the U.S. team before the game, one of those pep talks. Listen, and by the way, the NHL and ESPN did a great job really promoting this thing. They had the thing from Miracle on Ice. They had the captions of the movie with Kurt Russell, and then they had the real players in the room. It was really intense. It was pretty awesome stuff. But Gary Bettman was on a Rich Eisen show the other day and did say that they're going to be having the World Cup of Hockey every 2 years. But here's the mistake I think they're making, guys, is they're not going to do it during the break. They're going to do it in August into September. And I'm like, wait a second, guys, you're going to lose it. People are on vacation. Yeah. The NFL is going to be starting. You've got college football starting. No one's going to watch it. Yeah. You don't. What are you doing?
Yeah, no.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely right, Al. Les, there's no way they're going to go up against the NFL and college football. Like you said, vacations, summertime. That's not the time to watch hockey.
No, I agree, guys. I think they ought to compete. Compete. Absolutely. And I'm sitting there going, I know you don't want players to get injured. I'm just speaking from a fan's perspective. I'm not the GM of the team, or I'm not a head coach. I want to see the best on best, because as a hockey fan, which I am, it is the greatest thing in the world to see the best play the best. Whether it's the NBA and Olympics, the best countries play the best with the best players. That's what I want to see, because that's what brings out the competition. That's what brings out the passion and the intensity. I want to see that, and I want to see it all the time. Guys, listen, we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes. I want to first of all thank everyone that's hung out with us. We still got a good audience here. Listen, next week, the man on the screen, the legendary head coach of the St. Joseph Hawks, Phil Martelli. Remember in 03-04, Al, they went undefeated. They made it to the Elite Eight. He just coached the University of Michigan last year. He was an assistant with Juwan Howard. So Coach Martelli's going to be on next Wednesday with his special Steve Stefano, a good friend of both of ours. He wrote a great book. We're going to talk about that and them growing up in the Philadelphia area. So tune in next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Coach Martelli and Steve Stefano. Again, special thanks to Coach Bridgette Gordon. She was awesome. Al, what a get. What a get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was
We'll
great.
get her to come back.
You got a good one there, Al. Good coach.
Great one. I
Hit
want
a
to
home
thank.
run right there,
I want to thank everybody. Anyway, by the way, people who didn't know it was Al's birthday last week. So Al, again, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to thank everyone out there. We still got 18 people. We miss Joni. She'll be back next week. Oh, poll results. Hold on. Should the NBA adopt the same all-nations tournament like the NHL? 63% say yes. I think it should be 100% personally. But again, I want to thank everyone out there. Again, hit that subscribe button. If you're not seeing this live and it's your first time checking out Swartz Talkin Sports, hit the subscribe button. Like us, comment, let us know what you want to hear. It's your show. It's the fan show. We're just here to interpret it for you. So, for my man in the middle, from Jacksonville, Al the Rattler Chester, New York's own Benny the Bookster Millie, the wizard, the man behind the magic, Tony Smeraldi, our producer. This is L. Steven Swartz. Last saying, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Good evening, everyone.
Peace.
Good night.